Hey, welcome to the Runaways podcast. My name is Cody. We are back for another week, and we're going to be talking about the Aurora problem that everyone seems to be up in arms about, or at least mentioning, as we have looked at all of these recent events and going into London. But before we get into that, it's been Skirmish season, which is always fun. You're either playing Blitz or, in our case, probably only LL. But Lucas, did you do anything Skirmish related or anything exciting this week?
Nope.
No, completely boring. Okay, we'll just skip you then. Let's go to let's go to Noah. Did you do anything Skirmish related this week?
Well, I didn't do it this past weekend, but I think I skipped over the week before. I played in some Blitz. As much as you throw in shade at it, I had a great time playing in two skirmishes, both on Verdance in Blitz. And I had been a huge Verdance hater in CC. I just didn't comprehend why anyone would register that deck. And then I played in Blitz, and I was like, okay, I see a little bit of the appeal now. I see why people are drawn to this deck, and you get to really play with Verdance Hero Power online. I was playing Sotomaro and stuff, so it was pretty easy to get her Hero Power online with just one Decompose and one Sotomaro, or you play against New or something, and they just banish one of your cards. So yeah, it's a really powerful hero. I think that's by far the best deck in Blitz. There was some they talked about on the dev talk that Aurora had huge representation, and that's why she probably ended up taking home the most wins. But I think Verdance is a super fun deck to play in Blitz, and definitely gives you at least a little bit of that Icelander vibe from back in the day. Even if you don't have as much disruption on their turn, you still have that similar style of Waning Moon gaming, throw a big attack, and then kill them with Striders. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Sweet. Dan, I know you played LL this last weekend
because
I was there with you. How did your LL tournament go? What did you play?
Oh, I had so much fun. We went over to Gilded Raven. They've done LL every skirmish season, which I appreciate. Blitz tends to be more popular around here, but I absolutely love the LL format, and every chance I get to play Chain is a great time. So I brought Chain. I copied Cody's notes from his latest deck list. I brought that over. I played it in Chicago too, so knew how to play the deck. But I think LSS is kind of crazy for printing coal and letting it be legal in LL. They just solved every problem that Chain had, and there was almost no problems. Not every problem, but they gave him a Codex of Frailty power card. That's also a consistency piece. So I had a great time. Not sure if my opponents did, because the deck now outputs crazy amounts of damage and also stops your opponent from playing the game. But yeah, it was great. I met Cody in the finals, and we went home early.
Yeah, RuneGate Chain is easily the best deck in LL. It's not even close. We saw Chain won the most skirmishes this last weekend. I'm going to assume at least a majority of them are probably RuneGate Chain, but for the most part, whoever wins the skirmish is whoever has practiced LL the most in a lot of these circumstances. But no, with Call, the deck's just the best. The only thing that beats it is basically how it works. It has enough tools to handle everything in the game by a large margin, and if you draw any reasonable hands, the games are pretty free. So I would expect this to go on for a little bit until everyone catches on, and then there'll probably be some changes to the LL format to nerf this deck because it just beats everything.
Yeah, I mean,
we're back to when
Go
ahead. Yeah, I was gonna say we're back to when Chain was first printed. He's now the best deck. He wins every game he ever plays, as long as he doesn't draw the bottom 5% of draws.
Yeah, I mean, you have Call certainly helps this matchup a lot, but you do have Zen as the deck that at least previously was targeting you, and I would think is still ahead. Now, whether or not there are decks that are well positioned and good into you is sus, but I feel the LL format just has to be so wide that surely there are counters that exist to the deck. We've never really had a FAB format where a deck was completely untargetable. Although, to be fair, the few times we have had that, it has been Chain. So it does kind of, maybe line up with him. But
yeah, I'm not saying you can't lose any games. I'm just saying if I play against Zen, I think I'm favored. And because I have disruption on a quite often now.
Yeah, we have 12 copies now.
Yep. I mean, there's a lot of disruption in the deck. I mean, Cull is just like you just get to disrupt their hand, either offensively or defensively, however you want to use it. And sometimes you just draw that card for free. On top of having like Succumb, on top of having all of the Runegate cards that have some level of disruption, and you're just like, now they don't get to play the game without having to, like, they don't get to hold a 5-card hand. They're just like not allowed to. So
yeah, disruption and also more armor than anyone in the game, and also more damage than anyone in the game, and also it's pretty cool.
And our disruption piece is also consistency. Like that's why it's extra broken. It's like, I'm going to disrupt you while making my turn more consistent.
It also like turns this card in hand that's like a clunky 2-cost or 3-block into 0-cost 8 if you banish it. It's like, it's so absurd.
Yeah. So being able to make Rune Chance and then guaranteed to have a payoff happens a lot more often because of Cull. Obviously, the deck's beatable. You'll definitely drop games, but like overall, as an aggregate, it is easily the best deck in LL. Like, not even close. You still have some
matchup.
Yep. You still have some problems where you like sometimes you just draw the deck in the wrong order. So that can probably be mitigated to some percentage. That's better than what my current list looks like, because like it would need work for like a format that actually mattered. But I mean, currently it's just it's just the best right now.
There's no plans to have anything bigger than just the battle hardened at Worlds, right? Or not Worlds, at Pro Tour, sorry.
Currently, no.
Yeah, Chicago was like not quite the biggest motivator, I think, for them to have another one, but I just maybe a victim of unfortunate timing. So
we'll it was like the worst timing, and they chose like the worst city too.
Yeah,
like Chicago in winter. People hate Chicago.
Yeah, but like even locally, we had 10 people playing this Living Legend at Skirmish, and then Armory was like an hour after it finished or 2 hours after, and there was 25 people for CC.
It just seems like a self-fulfilling prophecy where like it's never, unless they actually put a lot of resources into it, people aren't gonna then reciprocally give it respect.
Yeah, people aren't gonna play it if you actually just don't balance your game around it. Like if you just like print Cull, like that's the kind of thing where it's like you like.
I don't think it was a Cull issue. People didn't know it was an issue yet.
No, but I'm saying like it should be obvious when you print Cull that like you're changing the LL format. I'm sure they knew that it was like a big impact, but like
it's like their thing though. They want you to like experience the card and see how good it is.
Yeah. My biggest point is that I think that like if they printed Cull in mind, like they have LL in mind when they print Cull, they're basically saying that like they don't care about the LL format on release in terms of like competitive viability, because they're like, it's a casual event. LL is a casual format. People don't know the boogeyman, so the boogeyman's not going to be too much of a problem. Go have fun. But also, like, clearly that means that they don't care about whether or not it's, well, I guess it depends on how you view that. But I don't know, it feels like to me they just don't care about the competitive viability of LL a whole lot.
I think that's a little harsh. I think this is consistent with how they've always played, how they've always balanced the game.
Well, I don't think it's different. I just think it's like they're showing no interest in LL. Like they've consistently throughout the history of the game, it felt like, not support. Like they had the little like Worlds 2023 or 2022 stint where like they cared about other formats, and since then like competitive tournament formats that aren't CC have just been like down, or they get an event and then go down again. Like it just, maybe Commoner would be the exception.
I don't know. I think LL is just like their playground, right? They're like, we printed this good card for CC support. Let's see what it does to LL and see what happens. Right?
Yeah, but it feels like they were at one point like trying to position LL for like a competitive environment, and it feels like right now it's not being treated as that. Like you said, it's like a playground. It's let's see how this does this, and we're gonna like kind of try it out and figure things out. So I'd be curious to see if that's like always
we'll
going
probably
to be
get like
or
a
if they
call in a
actually
year
care
right
eventually about it.
This is like a serious format in like 5 years or something, right? Like it's like just not
the thing is though, I don't know that it'll ever be serious because their dev team is not going to spend resources testing LL, because that just seems like a waste of time to like test the limitless interactions.
Yeah.
So I don't know that the format will ever like be balanced from the like LSS POV.
Like the way that the game is designed from a theoretical standpoint is that like when things are broken, the LL system balances them. and like things are broken. Obviously, the ban list does some of that, but like in LL, like if you're not designing to fix things, if the only way you have to fix things is the ban list, like it's just not a good format. I feel like
I don't know. I think
imagine
this is cool though. I like that
Yeah.
you can like exploit the format and play some broken deck. Like it can't be
yeah,
as obvious
it's
and
just not
degenerate as
it just
Bourbons
doesn't feel
was.
competitive though, is how I mean. Like if they are basically saying like we're gonna print what we want to print, it'll be interesting in LL, but like we don't care how it affects the format ultimately, right? Like
I don't know. I thought Chicago was a great competitive format.
Yeah,
I
it
thought
was
so
tons
too,
of fun.
but it felt like it was by accident. Or just
That's
because
fine.
of a ban list. Like I'm never gonna have a new set drop and be like, oh, I'm excited to play LL. Whereas I might have for
I don't think they want.
I'm
you to
always
feel that.
excited to play LL.
sure. I
don't know
guess
what
I
you're
should
talking
say I'm
about.
not excited to play LL competitively, which I feel like is reasonable.
Yeah, there's no outlet for it though,
But
so it's all good.
I don't know. I still just think things were competitive because no one knew of the RuneGate deck, and then I've released the RuneGate deck into the wild, and now it's running wild. Like
I mean, Starver was the better deck in Chicago.
it was not better than RuneGate. Not even a little bit. You know how many of them I beat?
Yeah, I don't think
So
it was
many of
close.
How many did you lose to in top 8?
them. One.
Oh, crazy. That's the same number I lost to because I lost a mirror. Starver won the tournament.
Happens.
It does when you're the best deck. It's pretty nice.
Not even close. That's fine. I just think that the format's fun. I had a good time. People are coming around to the new chain deck. We'll see how things shake out. It's also possible there's some deck people haven't seen that's also good. It's a super unexplored format.
Mm-hmm.
There's just not a reason to. Okay, let's go to the main topic of this week. We have seen Aurora showing up in force at every single major event that we have seen recently. Except for that one random battle hardened, but we're not going to talk about that one. That has been the most played deck at almost all of these tournaments. It has gotten a new armory, tools leading into London, and I think everyone expects it to be the most played deck going into London. So the question is this deck too good? Almost everyone has said it is an S tier deck in the format, or is one of, or if not the best decks in the format. It is currently what everyone is targeting to beat. It's essentially, if you don't beat Aurora, don't play this deck, is most people's opinion. So I ask, is this deck too strong? Do they need to make changes to it? Is it a problem for the format? Is Aurora, bad? A bad format deck? Any of these?
It's like this. It's the same deck that it's always been. Like the armory deck is not impactful, but it doesn't really change it much. Like it's the same Aurora it's always been and has previously been outclassed. It's kind of just the most consistent and fastest of the aggro decks at the moment.
Well, I think fastest is actually one of the parts where it struggles a little bit because I actually don't think that it like straight races most of the other aggro decks super well because you don't
I mean,
have.
in terms of like the ones that are like top of meta.
I'm pretty sure we haven't. I don't know. I don't have like data to support this because I haven't played this matchup really at all. But I would feel like Syndra Aurora is probably pretty reasonable for Syndra.
Yeah, but I was saying
think,
top of the meta, not like the way bottom.
Sure. I mean, those are like the aggro decks that people were talking about. Right?
What
Like,
else exists?
into
What are
Zen,
you
like,
saying is the aggro deck at the top of the meta?
yeah, like
besides
Zen's
Aurora?
not out racing.
No, that's
you.
fair.
Are you out
Like,
racing Dio? Like maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. It does feel like she is the aggro deck that is outraced by most of the other aggro decks, right? Because her power plays are like Arc Lightning, Flicker Wisp, and Channel Lightning Valley, and those are things that take time normally to set up and get full value out of. But I mean, she's super strong.
I can retract that point. I just meant she's very consistent and she has like outs against most decks.
I think one of the biggest
high-roll draws.
things about Aurora consistency though is you have the Runeblade problem of consistency where you really have to make sure that what you're doing on this turn is setting yourself up to play the game on the next turn. Mm-hmm. Whereas like some of the other aggro decks we've had in the past just play very well off of rando 4 cards off the top. They can just like almost always play them out. Whereas I think this has been like a pretty big balancing factor for Aurora that you really have to be arsenaling your go again attack, preferably a lightning one, making an embodiment, filling your deck with maybe like generics that have go again just to smooth out your ability to play your turns, or even playing some defensive cards like we saw in Brazil. They were playing a bunch of like the 4 block D-reacts so that like you still accomplish the goal of getting 4 out of every card. It's just, sometimes it happens on defense. So yeah, I think, that's a little bit of a nuance that makes her feel a bit more fair than some of the other aggro decks that just can constantly vomit their hand every turn.
It makes her feel like problematically fair when you play it, is how it feels. Like, it feels like you are very often a slave to some of the variance points. I think it's really interesting because I think she's actually one of the like highest skill cap decks that we've had in a while. Like, playing her out, I feel like so many of the small micro decisions are really interesting to make, and you have to make them a lot. And it does come out to where like playing the deck at the highest level is really, really hard, I think. But like a lot of the games are just like you won because you draw Arc Flicker, or you lost because you drew like Discharge, Lightning Press, and no attacks. And like a lot of these kinds of things feel like they happen where it does have the like Runeblade Azalea problem of like needing some combinations of cards, but it also has like the Vincent thing where you need like A plus B plus C plus D just to resolve some things properly. But she is super strong, clearly, right? Like, she is very powerful on rate. She has cards that are doing way above power things. Like, Arc Lightning by itself is really powerful. Combining it with Flicker Wisp, it gets pretty ridiculous. Like, Channel the Lightning Valley is a pretty crazy card when it goes off. Like, the interaction with Sigil of Suffering is super crazy. Like, you have a lot of things that makes the deck powerful. I think maybe your consistency and the ways that you have to make your deck more consistent are not necessarily aligned with the best tournament deck always. But I mean, she is, at least in my opinion, not unfavored into really anything in the game. I think maybe there are some decks that are ahead of her by a few points, but it's like 45%, right? Maybe 40%. It just feels like you have the ability to beat everybody. In addition to just like being a super robust engine with reasonable equipment. It's like, I think middle of the pack, maybe slightly below average, but you have a good weapon, you have a good hero ability, your cards are just 4s. When you draw hot, your deck is super broken. Like, feels like just obviously a strong deck. It reminds me a lot of Lexi. I think the biggest difference is what Noah was talking about, where Lexi was basically able to convert any hand on offense because of Voltaire. You could draw all non-arrows, but at the end, the deck was pretty unlikely to do that. But even when you would draw like all reds, it was okay. You could play your hand out. And it feels like Aurora doesn't have that as much, where like you do draw some hands, some 4-card hands that just don't do anything. Like, whether it's not attacking or being 4 attacks without go again, like you do have some number of awkwardness. And then I think the biggest weakness that I've found with Aurora is her inability to play on both sides consistently. Most of her cards are really good on offense, or are kind of medium on offense, but they block 3. And it feels like she doesn't have the ability to choose how she uses her cards. Like, most of her hands are either forced to block out or forced to play all of her cards on offense, and it kind of ends up just meaning like all of her cards are just hoping they line up in the right order, and it just kind of gets awkward with deck building, I think.
Yeah.
Let's let me I want to rein it back in, and then I'm going to pass it over to you, Noah. But most of the complaints that I see are that there are 2 different decks we're talking about here. There is an Aurora deck that is playing like efficient, on rate, 0 for 4 red line go again, with tricks, ways to draw cards, and then like ways to force your opponent to have to block, right? And then you're trying to chain hand goods. Like, that is one deck. And then it just happens to deal 30 damage sometimes on turns because it draws Flicker Arc, right? Like, that's a whole different deck, essentially.
Well, yeah. And the problem is that you kind of have to play towards both, and they play very differently. Where in some matchups, it feels like Flicker Arc is your win con, and in some matchups, Lightning Valley feels like most of your win, like Lightning Valley, Burn Up Shock, those kinds of cards.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if there's a way to, because like in theory, like the Flicker Wisp Arc Lightning deck would want to be like, if your deck was built around that interaction, would be a bunch of like go again attacks and 3 blocks, and like maybe some defensive cards to keep you alive and eventually set up the combo. Whereas the Lightning Valley deck is just use everything on offense every turn, no matter what. And they're very polarizing, but like you have to play both in the same 80 cards. Otherwise, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, this is
so-
actually what I was going to say. Is that like
Yep.
you don't. I said this a few podcasts ago that Aurora has like a big card pool, but we just really haven't seen that materialize. And that you're basically always playing the same cards. There's maybe a few changes, and a lot of those are cards that are either like very good or very bad. Like they're just super situational and end up like not necessarily making your deck objectively better. You really only have so many go again cards. Like LSS has been very careful about printing cards like Rabble, and we literally play like Scar for a Scar from like WTR, right? There just aren't these cards that have go again. You can't just be like, okay, let me shove all of these in my deck. It's sort of similar to how we have with D-Reacts, right? Like you have Sync, Fate, Shelter, but you can't play like 21 0 for 4 D-Reacts. So
Well,
yeah, I just think, go ahead.
And Aurora has like this deck building issue where like you kind of have to play all of these like poopy go again attacks, but they all kind of suck. Like a lot of these like medium go again attacks, things like Scar for Scar, like aren't very good cards, and you only play them because you need go again to push like burn up shocks and channel lightning valleys. So like you need a critical mass of these to have in your deck in all these matchups, but then in these other matchups where you're like playing slower and your lightning valleys and burn ups don't hit all the time, like you still have all these 2-block Scar for Scars that like have go again sometimes, and you just kind of end up in this awkward situation where it doesn't really feel like the deck can be perfected to optimize all of the things that it does well. It feels like it kind of has to choose one of the things to do super, super well, and then one of the other things, normally being the like Arc Lightning Flicker combo, has to just like line up, and hopefully it's good when it does.
But isn't that what makes the deck an issue? Like, I
Yeah,
think the actual
you can
complaint,
look at it through that lens for sure.
the complaint is that like if it just did the first half, the 0 for 4, like go again on hits matter half, then also kind of mid rangey at times, depending on what your hands look like. That deck's very strong. It's very good. It has good numbers. Like, and it plays in a way that I think is interesting. I think the only thing I would really ever complain about Aurora is that sometimes you're just having this great match with an Aurora deck. You're going back and forth. You're making trades. You're like, they've gone hard on turns for you and you had to block out, and then you kind of came back with some stuff and they had to block a little bit. Then all of a sudden they just draw Flicker Wisp combo and they're like, here's, like, you're both at 20 and they're like, here's 30. Like, the game's over. Like, it just kind of feels like that part of the deck maybe shouldn't exist. And
It's
I'm
kind of
curious to
weird.
see, like, Dan, I know you've played a lot of this deck, and how do you kind of feel about those two halves, if anything is a problem there?
No, I agree with what you're saying. Like the combo cards make the deck kind of dumb. Like I don't even like playing them. Like they're highly non-synergistic with what you're trying to do, which is attack for 4 or 5 go again every attack. And now you're playing this like 2-block non-attack that sometimes does virtually nothing and just like bricks your turns. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like people are like feeling priced into playing these so that you have that high roll potential and kind of trivializing the game like you were saying. But I don't know. I feel like outside of when they draw Flicker Arc randomly, or even like set it up, I think Aurora is not nearly. I think it's a very good deck, but I don't think it's nearly good enough to be the best deck and the most targeted deck at this extreme level.
Yeah, I don't think they're.
I think when
I don't think-
everyone's like prepping and teching for it, the deck's actually kind of bad. With how I think the meta's shaping up to be. So I'm kind of predicting that Aurora will perform pretty poorly come London.
Yeah, testing
Whether it's a problem or not is kind of a different question. For the Pro Tour, it's absolutely not a problem.
Yeah,
But it's kind of like the
way it
Ancestral Harmony
feels-
issue, right? With just drawing combo and this whole game we played just doesn't matter, like you said.
I mean, that Brute has had that forever with Blood Rush, right? Like every Brute turn looks very different than a Blood Rush turn. So I think they kind of just they being LSS just don't mind having these funny yellow cards exist in decks sometimes.
I do think the cost of playing them is high in Aurora. Like it's so against what you're trying to do. You're trying to be this like hyper consistent, good numbers deck, and then you just play this like cracked bubble that sometimes deals 30.
So,
Yeah,
Lucas, is it a problem for London?
Yeah, so I'm going to say yes, it is a problem. And the reason is kind of what Dan was saying. I think it is the best deck in the format, but I think it would be definitely not the best deck in the format if it didn't have Flicker Wisp and Arc Lightning. But it is the best deck in the format, which means that most decks kind of have to build in this way where they're just like mono 0-for-4s and cards that are good against Aurora. And that's how the meta ends up shaping up. And when everyone's decks are like all 0-for-4 D-reacts and all cards that are good against you, basically all you can do to win is flicker Arc Lightning. And I feel like that's kind of the issue that gets created is like, it is a problem because we're almost at the point where at least with some of the tested games, it feels like the Aurora deck is only good when it draws Flicker Arc Lightning, and it's bad when it doesn't. And it's the best deck. Like, that's because it beats all the other stuff with its other strategies so consistently, is that a lot of the decks at the top of the meta coalescing feels like most of the games that I play in this format when Aurora is involved come down to, between like high level decks, comes down to, did they resolve Flicker or Arc Lightning? Like, did they have a 30 damage turn? No, they didn't. Cool, I probably won because my deck is all 0-for-4s. Like, their burn ups never hit, and my deck is built to counter channel Lightning Valley, and I have 3 shelters in every deck. That's how I start everything. And then it's like, okay, well, Aurora kind of sucks then, but it beats every deck that's not doing that. So we're just going to throw Flicker Wisp in our deck in those matchups, hope it works, and then everything else will just shit.
Yeah, I think to your point though earlier, Lucas, like I think the actual best counter is probably like Boost Dash and like Syndra, right? Where like you can't Arc Lightning or Outrace, but
but those
bringing Boost Dash is kind of a suspect in this meta, I think.
Yeah, all the decks that are good into Aurora just suck. Like, Aurora is just good because the decks that would naturally counter her in the game, I think, right, things that we would expect like Jarl or other Guardians or Assassins, basically like disruptive decks, right? Disruptive decks target the aggro decks, but a lot of the disruptive decks suck because the illusionists are able to beat the aggro decks, and the aggro decks are able to beat the disruptive decks, but the disruptive decks can't beat illusionist.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you say?
Even just like the Florians are beating up the disruptive decks.
Yeah. It just feels like the decks that counter Aurora are not very good right now. Which
the community needs to agree on what are we bringing to counter Aurora, and like half the field brings that, and the other half brings Aurora, and then it would work. Instead, we have all this like random mid range.
Yeah. It's weird. It's like we have this like spot for the boogeyman at the top of the format where like the illusionist is good, so it's waiting for like the disruptive decks to prey on the good deck. Like Enigma's waiting for the Jarls to beat the Auroras, but like the Jarls just never beat the Auroras because she still wins sometimes. And the Jarls don't want to exist because the Enigmas.
I don't know. I think most of Aurora's wins are because of like poor play on the other side.
That is a bold call. Noah, is this format a problem?
No.
Is it a good format or a bad format?
No, it's a good format. Because all the cringe decks, people just like aren't playing, like Kano and Azalea and Dio. People just like aren't playing those because they don't consistently beat Aurora or other decks enough. So I think like you don't just randomly get spiked no agency games. At least you feel like you have a chance into Aurora.
Yeah.
So I think the format is not a problem.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like the format's a problem. I think it's just annoying that Flicker Arc is like basically Aurora's win con into like all the decks at the top. It feels
just
like.
Make a Zen state.
You can do that.
True.
Can't do that.
Cool.
Well,
I do
you
think,
kind of can't, though,
I think the format's fine.
If they start with Flicker Arc and then play some other non-attack with Go again, you're like taking a bunch before you can even do like wax on wax on.
Sometimes,
double chi, natural chi.
Yeah, but not everybody has Kasaya, man.
Yeah, but they're drawing 2 cards. You can draw 2 cards, surely. You just counter their 2 cards with your 2 cards. Perfect. Okay. I think the format's fine. As far as like going to a Pro Tour for a format like this, we've had significantly worse formats than this. This is
it definitely feels like there's a lot of different decks that you can play for a lot of different reasons, and it's not just one of those like throw a dart at the wall and pick it formats either. Like it's like it feels like a diverse wide meta that's not just every deck is kind of fine, no agency games into the others. Like all the games feel pretty good, and like you have to have the right game plans and stuff like that.
One thing, if people are like newer to the game, like maybe they only got started in the past year, they don't know about all the memes of this card game just being a Runeblades game, and like maybe we're back in that time with like we had
we literally
crazy.
Yeah, and then like
now we have Aurora and Florian at the top. Like it's back to just play Runeblade, the card game.
True. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else on Aurora before we move on to podcast questions?
I think there's like still a chance that people discover cool stuff, and that people have been like sacking these events to hide some cool like Aurora like spicy stuff that we haven't seen. But I'm not holding my breath. But it would be really cool if that happened.
I just find it Aurora annoying, like from a personal play perspective, because like the deck's clearly probably the best deck and very strong, but it's so frustrating to play. Like,
Yeah.
it just has so much brick potential, and
Yeah.
games are going
It-
long now, and your opponent's making you have it. And if you miss go again on the wrong turn, you're just like, what am I doing?
Okay, wait. I actually have one more comment too. That's kind of annoying. I just like the generic cards suck. It's so annoying
Mhm.
when you have to think, okay, I have my Aurora deck, and then what if they have Exude Confidence or Snatch? Just like some generic card that's either super powerful or basically has no text based on the context of the game. It's similar to like CNC Pummel and Guardian. We're like, okay, I got my D reacts into Guardian, I'm chilling. Oh, they have CNC Pummel, I have 3 D reacts. I guess I lose. Similar thing with like Exude Confidence, right? Or Snatch, like, okay, I'm denying
Yeah, I
fours, and then yeah, go ahead.
high-key think Exude Confidence is a problem because like that card feels like such a that's even worse than Arc Flicker. Like all these
Yeah.
games I play with Aurora, it's like when I have Exude and an embodiment at the start of my turn and I draw a
Mhm.
good hand, I'm like, okay, cool, the game's over.
Yeah.
Like I just draw like Lightning Press.
No,
and
I
a
agree.
Burnout Shot,
I'd
and
much
I'm
rather
like,
than
okay,
have
cool.
Flicker. in
Let's
their
wrap
deck.
it up. My opponent's about to IP3, take 20, and swing Reaping Blade and pass. And then like some games, I just like draw Exude and I play it, and they just like block 3 and move on with their life.
Yeah.
Like it's so unreasonable. I feel like the swings with that card.
Yeah, I just think that it would be cool to have something done with generics. We've seen generics be kind of an issue in the past. I don't know. I don't have the ban list pulled up, but I have a feeling that there's a decent amount of generic cards on there for probably good reason, that it kind of ruins part of like the fun of FAB, where it's like you have your hero identity. This is like what my hero does, but then it's these generic cards that are actually the things leading to you winning the game. And that goes for the other side too, with like the Sync Fate Shelter, that all you got, all these like
Yeah,
D reacts.
it
also
feels like
being
every deck
powered.
right now that's beating Aurora is just 8 or 9 D reacts or 4 black D reacts. Play that all you got. If you have other space, you play like Sigil or whatever it is. Like some
Yeah,
other
it's
like
not even like that engines matter as much. It's like the generic cards we're throwing back and forth
Yeah.
at each other are like,
Well, that's what I was saying earlier, where I think Aurora might be a problem because it does feel like that's the best way to build a lot of these top decks right now. And not only does that make those decks boring, but it makes the matchups boring because like we were saying earlier, like Aurora kind of can't compete if everyone's decks are playing like 12 D reacts to counter her. All she can do is flicker arc. But she still can do that sometimes. So it ends up where just like all these games are just like shitty. When do you have it?
bro, I feel like you're talking yourself back to saying the format is bad.
I don't know.
But then,
I
like, when
can't
these
make up my
mid-range
mind.
decks play each other too, you're just like, attack for 4, D-react. I attack for 4, D-react. It's like nothing happens for so
Dude,
long.
wasn't
in these
that the
games now.
case on we had like a little watch party in our Discord of the stream, and like the first like 5 turns of that it was the Dory match, right? It was the Dory into the Aurora, where like every
Oh,
turn
yeah,
is just
yeah,
like
yeah.
play card, okay, 2 D reacts. All right, my turn.
Yeah,
All right, play some
mhm.
cards. All right, 2 D reacts, and then it's like no one's actually doing anything for
Yeah,
like
you play
4
like
turns.
4 turns as 1 total
Yeah.
damage now. It's
Yeah.
like
It is the
Oops.
D-React format. That is the current format of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Is D-React format.
and that's why
Who
you
would've
can't play
thought if
boost
you-
dash.
Who would have thought if you printed another 0 for 4 good D-React that we would just run all of the D-Reacts?
Yeah,
Yeah,
think it's
I
even
love how
more than
that card
printing
comes out and everyone's like, "There's no way we're going to still play Fate for Scene, right?" Like that's absurd. Jesus.
But we also said there's no
We're
way
not in
they
the
would print
fatigue meta.
another
What
one.
is it? 2023? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Fatigue Oldham's dead. Crown and Seeds is banned. Get out of here. CYB Blue is banned. The world is free.
Yeah, shelter printing was kind of wild.
I hate
Without like
shelters.
banning Sync Below or something.
I hate that card. It's so stupid.
Okay, let's go to our podcast questions. These are questions asked by premium members of our Discord. If you'd like to be able to ask questions on the podcast, follow along with the Hero of the Month. Voting has just started on that for what hero it'll be next month, which is pretty cool. Find any of our deck lists or anything else, feel free to join in the link below. First question here from a Galaxy. It says, how do you all interpret the recent huge success of Florian? In the past, you've mentioned that it has some underlying issues due to its hero ability and nature of Decompose being draw order dependent. But the deck has won a calling and topped another calling and made finals at a Battle Harden, all back to back. What has changed? or has something changed?
My take is that it's like its meta position alone means you can win a lot when you draw the wrong side of the deck, and it's like fine, because you have these good matchups. And then when the deck draws well, it's just very powerful, right? Like if you go felling plow, and now you're online and you've taken no damage because your opponent's been disrupted every turn, like you're a good deck. So I don't know. I think it's well positioned in the meta. It has a chest that blocks for like 14 or something. I don't know what the actual math is. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's well positioned. The deck I still think is like hot garbage in terms of how you have to construct it, but it ends up playing out in a way that leads to winning. So
I think it's pretty simple.
Hmm.
More people are playing the deck than before. When more people start playing a deck, it is more likely to do well. So that's number one. Number two, the meta has moved to 4 blocks matter. It has a lot of 4 blocks that it can play. So it doesn't get
A lot of
currently
good
punished.
formats, too.
A lot of good 4 blocks, and it doesn't currently get punished by having to run like the decompose 4 blocks because
Mhm.
the deck is the most popular deck in the game, is allowing you to block with your cards. So that's a big deal. There are not that many Enigma players that are playing at these events. If you look at the actual total of play, the Enigma count is pretty low. In that deck, that matchup is horrendous for Florians. I know sometimes Florians win, but sometimes Enigmas are built poorly, so that happens as well. And then that's pretty much it. Like you put all those factors together, and like it makes sense why it did well. I think the deck is easily an A-tier deck that has some weaknesses and is good into the most played deck in the game currently right now.
Yeah, the fact that the top deck has to attack to function is what's enabling all this. Like Vincent is only playable because Aurora has to attack every turn, which is exactly what Vincent wants.
Mhm.
Same thing for Florian.
Cool. Kazuma asks, let me go. Okay, here's the question. So with Skirmish reaching week 3, how do you feel about the results, and do any of them come as a surprise or a standout? Chain with 22 wins, just eclipsing the competition. Second question would be, what are thoughts around the hold Chain has on LL, and do we need to do any changes to that? So I think we talked about this a little bit. I think at some point they're probably going to have to limit call to 1.
Yep. I think restrictions make sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Only surprise is that change in win every Living Legend event.
Have they said they're never going to ban stuff in LL?
No.
They said that they would like not to. It's one of those like, we're gonna try not to, but you never know.
Okay.
I don't think Cole's ban worthy. It's not like
Because right now the only banned stuff is the Aether Vein. Is that the only banned card?
Yeah, I think so.
the weapon, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it should be.
I mean, they could easily make Chain one of the worst decks in the format if they just unrestricted Warmongers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please don't do that.
They could just kill the deck if they ever want to. There is literally just a kill switch in the meta. But I would hope they wouldn't do that, so the deck's still playable. But more likely you just limit call to 1.
You could also like unrestrict hypothermia if you wanted another like small thing that matters a little bit but isn't that big.
I'm gonna dirge your hypothermia. Let's go.
Yeah, that's just like a meme. You like can't give them a hypothermia.
Yeah.
It's like why I said they're stuck. You can't like give them shit. They just pop it.
Like realistically, there needs to be an opportunity for like the meta to adjust, but the meta doesn't exist because this format isn't played. So
Yeah.
It'll move really slow by the time anything's found to.
yeah,
help
I just need
counter.
to know like what the correct balance decision is. But there's zero issue with restricting Cole. This card does not need to be a 3 of. And then at
Cool.
least that encounters Chain again, probably.
Probably, because you have to run Snuff Out in its place for that matchup, and Snuff Out is significantly worse than Cull against Zen.
Yeah.
Cusco asks, are we ready to have the conversation that Aurora is just as obnoxious as Zen, while at a lower power level? She feels like she is far and away above the rest of the pack. Similar level to when Zen was.
It's not far and away. I think it's like far and away if everybody built their decks and went like la la la, Aurora doesn't exist. But like she's kind of not that good if everyone just plays a bunch of 4 blocks.
Well, Zen
'Cause,
just
like, her
doesn't care
whole
about on hits. Like Aurora cares about on hits. I think it's that simple. You can't have a deck like Zen just does all the numbers. You have no choice if you're the opponent. And Aurora, at least you have like a chance because you can stop CLV, burn up, snatch, has
And
static
you
shock,
can
whatever.
just punch Aurora. Like
Yeah.
Zen punishes you for attacking him.
No, it's like not even
So-
remotely close, I don't think.
Also,
Also,
like,
Aurora existed during this time, right?
yeah.
Oh, I guess right
Aurora
after.
also just, like, can't kill you on turn, like, 3. Zen could kill you on turn 1.
I killed
I don't
Lucas
know.
on turn 0 once.
Yeah, like, it's pretty, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it just traverse as well. There's no
Yeah,
lightning.
it's just like
lightning
it's
burst.
nowhere near Zen. It's like not even comparable, I think.
I think the thing about Aurora is asking you to play in a really technical manner against them.
Aurora feels like a super targetable deck.
It is, but she's asking all of her opponents to play a very technical game with her.
Yeah.
And that is like, it's pretty high level, like of how you actually have to play those matches. Cause you have to be completely aware of like everything in their deck, how they attack in what sequence, and then how you line up your blocks into those sequences to make the most sense, and then when to give up turns to like allow them to draw or whatever to fight back. So there's like a lot of technical play. And that's why I loved playing it like last format as Zen into it. I thought it was like super fun to play. And so I can see how, like, if you're like going to locals or you're going to other events or like lower events, callings, whatever it might be, it might feel really overbearing because it just feels like every turn they're just throwing 4s at you. But like you can learn the matchup and you get better at the matchup and like you'll dramatically improve your ability to play into the deck.
It feels like the deck is targetable as a design, like as part of the like core fundamental part of the hero is that she's strong because she's always stronger than she actually is because you have to play properly into her and normally have a deck that's constructed to like play well into her. Like her average value proposition is like, well, if people want to block 3 and all my cards attack for 4, then I'm plus. But if everyone wants to block for 4, then it's a lot harder. And it's like these kinds of natural things where like if she is targeted, she is a lot weaker, and that's part of her hero, it feels like.
Yeah, they nailed the design. Like this is the entry deck.
Yeah.
And then it builds up to this like top tier constructed deck, but it's actually kind of like put into check once the skill level
Once you get
increases.
to the top tier, it feels
Yeah,
like.
assuming they don't just like natty draw combo on you. Right. That's
Yeah.
like the only out at that point.
Yeah, and the comparison to Zen, I think it does hold for like some matchups. Like some of the aggro matchups, or open CLV, you did just like lose immediately, even though you're gonna keep playing for a little longer. Take your deck that can't block and stop her effects. You just like that if she draws too many burn ups and valleys.
Yep.
So that's fair.
Carnivore asks, what do you think are the best ways to improve your mastery of a deck from good to great? He says he's currently learning new at the moment, and he feels like he has the basic downs, and he's actually winning most of his Armory and Talishar events, but he wants to reach the next level, the next winning.
Not gonna lie, when I read this question at first, I thought it said PT winning level. I was like, brother, if I had the advice for you, I don't think I'd be giving it out for free on this podcast for how to win a Pro Tour. But I think that
ProQuest.
Yeah, ProQuest is what the actual thing says. Yeah, now that I'm rereading it again, but I think the biggest thing to look at is not just the result of is it in the win column or the loss column, but what are the plays that you're making that are contributing to your win, and are they plays that especially because they mentioned they're playing new, are they plays that are just my opponent made a bad decision and therefore they lost, or was it a play that I made that was put them in a spot where there was no good decision for them to make? So I think just like trying to reflect on your games to see what are the moments that you make like what you would say is a good play or put your opponent in a lose-lose situation versus just, oh, my opponent made a bonehead mistake and therefore I won.
And for like a concrete thing playing new, knowing your exact pitch stack and like the exact order of every card in your stack is, I think, almost a useless skill in today's game, but new uses it quite a bit where like knowing the actual top card of your deck is useful. So if you want just like a very concrete, specific, like harness this skill, like if you get better at pitch stacking and knowing where cards are, you will see improvements with new.
Yeah, I have a really easy one for new. go watch the last calling that just happened. Go watch Hamilton's game on stream.
Yeah, probably just do it.
Against the Aurora, where he just pitched 2 like picked pieces. No, he pitched 2 0 for 5 reacts.
Justin.
Yeah, he pitched 2 Justinics, and then put like a bonds after it, and then waited for that cycle to come back around, and then because of the way the cycle came back around, it split the 2 Justinics, and so it was like pretty gas. But like, just watch that match on how the pitch stack completely like played that game. I think it was
also, I mean,
really
you're
well played game.
To answer exactly you're a Squire. There's a really good example of me like talking through my pitch stack and executing it properly and like knowing like how to position yourself and when it happens in the Jarl Hero of the Month like I think it's week 2 VOD review. There's like really good examples of like when to pitch cards, how to do it, like knowing when it's coming up and kind of like how you prepare yourself for that situation.
So the best generic way to improve at a deck you're playing is to record your games, watch your own games back and do what Noah said, and then also send that footage to someone who won a pro quest on your deck and have them do what Noah said.
Yep. Cool. Codfather asks, Zen would need to win 2 of the remaining 3 Battle Hardens in order to not be legal for Pro Tour. With how the meta has been developing, is he still one of the Runaways, at least Cody and Dan's, top choices for the event? Well, he will be legal.
Oh, I'm kind of sick of him, man. I was before. I don't know. I think the meta kind of shifted in a way that like you don't have that many like great matchups. They're all like, I keep telling everyone he's just like 51%, 52% against most of the decks, but you're like 60+ percenters kind of moved away, unless Enigma like really shows up. I still think he's a great pick. Like, he's got great tools for Aurora. You have a good matchup spread, but I don't know. I'm kind of sick of playing the deck.
Well, it's pretty easy. If you want to go to the tournament, have no bad matchups, have like 55%-ish win rate into almost everything in the game, and then a couple of things higher than that, you just play Zen. Like if you're just like, and that's great. That's actually for a hard game
tournaments, that's pretty good.
That is phenomenal.
I would take that.
So definitely a good pick. There's no question that he's not a good pick for London. It's about your tournament strategy. Like he is just like, he's like one of the decks in the meta that you can play depending on what tournament strategy you're attempting to use to play the tournament. And he fits into the, I just want to play all my games strategy, which is an acceptable way to go to a tournament.
Mm-hmm. If there's a Zen in top 8, my face will remain the same.
Yeah. If Zen wins the tournament, I would.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would be like, okay, cool. See you later. See you in LL format.
Cool. Inobi asks, new with or without CYB, and why? I think without.
If you just look at results, right? Most of them have been winning without it.
This meta, it looks like without. I think that it's really just like probably, I think it's around half of the decks in the game CYB is better into, around half of them not CYB is better into, and then you build your deck from there. Like some lists you maybe build to side it out in some matchups. Sometimes it's always in. Some decks it's never in. Like I think it's just like 6 cards that you can play that are good in some matchups is kind of how I view it. And then the more that you're playing CYB, the more you probably build your deck to be like a more defensive, fatiguey deck. But I would just start as it with like 6 cards in the sideboard that I'm playing if I want to target like Verdance and Florian and Jarl and like defensive slow decks, then probably CYB is what you want.
You just like can't reasonably in your 80 fit CYB and also all these D-reacts that we're talking about. You just like can't have both in the same 80, so you just have to choose. And I think the people have spoken that the 0 for 4s are just better.
Yeah, definitely, if Aurora maintains her kind of chokehold on the representation of how many players show up with her, then
agreed. Their Lev FX asks, what card from Aurora gets banned post Pro Tour? And would an emergency ban right now be better for Pro Tour?
Flicker Wisp and no.
Absolutely.
I think probably
That would
there's
be
no
outrage
bans.
again if they ban something.
I think probably no bans is like the real answer. But if a card gets banned, like if Aurora has like 5 out of 8 in top 8, she wins the event. It's like overwhelmingly converts well to day 2 or something, which I don't foresee. But if that did happen, it would probably be Flicker.
If LSS decides that they like their runway for new players into Aurora, they're going to ban Flicker Wisp after
Well,
Pro Tour.
because otherwise
they're gaining points too quickly.
Yeah.
So if you want to lower it without actually doing anything real to the deck for the people who are using it as an onboarding tool, then you just remove Flicker. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think if they like want the deck, they'll either want the deck to LL because it's strong, or they'll just want it to stay around because it's
a great onboarding tool because you got like first strike deck into the armory deck, and then like it's actually pretty good to play, and it can play at all levels, and then so
there's no shot of emergency ban though. That would just be
no
line of touch.
No ban before London.
I'll quit.
There's no Flicker Wisp in the structure deck too, right? So there's no people aren't like losing
I do
stuff.
think
They
that
have
makes
to have
sense.
like that awkward conversation. Yeah, because
it's
like, go ahead.
It wouldn't have made sense in the armory deck, but yes, it is not in there.
Yeah,
it could never have been in there. I think.
Yeah.
I think Arc Lightning is like the only synergy piece, so I guess they could have included it for just Arc Lightning.
I mean that is like the synergy piece, right?
Yeah, but I don't think that is like really it's not a game nerf. That's more of like a product nerf, right? Like,
no, but it is a good sign for it potentially being bannable though. Like if it was in the armor deck, it would be awkward to ban.
Okay, Mike at Blockout Party asks, a flavor text trivia time. A morbid union, Viscerize hunger for revenge, and his master's hunger for power. Name the card. No cheat.
I'll never know what these are. Is it Tremor? I'll guess Tremor of whatever.
I'm gonna guess
Aerosol or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because it's got to be one of the Viscerize specs, right?
I looked it up before. I just don't read the last line of the text says no cheating.
I feel like it's either Bequest or it could be like Phantasmia, I think.
Okay, what do you think, Cody?
I've never read flavor text in my life.
No idea. Okay. So when I thought it might be Deathly Duet, another like Runeblade card. Then I looked up Deathly Duet. Thing doesn't even have flavor text, so shows what I know.
Yep.
No, the answer is Runic Reclamation. The 3/7 that on hit blows up their aura, makes her enchant.
Yeah, he is on the art of that card, so that makes sense.
Yeah. I like how Mike just decided this was going to be a segment on our podcast now. We're just
I love it. We don't read flavor text. If he keeps doing this,
we let the people do this to us.
Yeah, we should present it to the listeners though, to be like,
if you want to ask the same question every week
and then reveal it.
Well, they do. They could pause the video at any time and then think, what do I think?
I'm saying we could make it more about them because clearly we have no idea for any of these.
I will never know any of them. I have like immediate ideas of what I think it should be based on what I'm reading, but it's never right.
I mean, like, to be fair, like I think we can get some of them with context.
Yeah, I will get that all you got. That's one that I'll get because I know.
I also got the first one just because I randomly knew it. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Got to count for something.
Wardo77 asks, who are all the people on your team? Do you have a roster? Is it a secret? I mean, the 4 of you are great, but you could invite some background members on the pod once in a while.
Yeah, cut that part out.
I will say we used to do that. We used to have a rotating cast. It became very difficult to keep the quality at a manageable level.
And the other
constantly pulling new people in, and then it was hard to make it a consistent release schedule as well. So all of those were factors. We'll probably still have guests from time to time, and we're always looking to try and up the quality. But that's kind of why we've just been on this for a while now.
Yeah, we don't have like a roster or anything, but
I mean, I have a little roster, but we don't like post it.
I thought we didn't update it. Because at one point we had like an official one, and then like 3 months later it had the same people in the room.
Yeah, no, there's no like official roster, but I have like a spreadsheet with names on it.
Yeah, there's like what 20, 25 of us now, something like that.
There's a lot because we've added some.
For sure.
I don't know how many it is now, but
it's not a secret.
It's not.
It's not a secret.
I'm not going to list all the names right now, but
I'm not listing that many people, but we can 100% just post it in the Discord for the in Squires General.
Well, you can also just see in the Discord, right? If they have the role of Runaway,
yeah, everyone's tagged on Discord.
Yeah, you can actually just see the Discord is public. If you go to the Runaways Discord and go to roles, everyone whose role is Runaway is on the team, probably.
They're gonna have some weird names that you can't decipher into a person's name, but you can
Yeah,
see
some of them are Discord avatars.
Yeah.
And Sarah.
Cool. Ham asks, what is your favorite card art, and why is Adult Chains so bad? It is terrible. I wish they would release a pretty one, but they would never will.
Yeah, my answer for this one is what got me thinking about that. All you got with the flavor text earlier is definitely that. Maybe that's like a weird one to pick as your favorite card art, but I don't know, just something about it. I like the more like brute-ish style, like fighting card arts, and that one is just like very satisfying to me. The art.
I like Frostex because it looks cool in cold foil, and it looks cool when there's 3 of them on my opponent's board.
I have the
And they're all
Frostex
cold
in my
foil.
phone.
Yeah. He's got a rainbow. Look at this bum, by the way.
Oh, every time, dude. Every time.
Can we like call out this guy? He's a rainbow foil Frostex.
No,
in
every
his-
single time someone has seen this, they've commented that it's rainbow foil. It's actually
$6.
insane.
It's like $5-6.
Just
man.
be happy
get
it's
a
not a
gold.
non-foil, dude. Imagine it was non-foil. Just
No, if it's
ultimate
non-foil,
peasant.
at least then you just grabbed a copy.
Yeah, at least you're
rainbow
not, like,
foil is
trying.
you're
Just
cheating
grabbing a
on
copy. What do you
highest
mean?
rarity.
Oh, what came to
My
mind for me
favorite-
is... Oh, you go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. My favorite art is the Japanese new art. That is also the playback that I use. I think that art is gorgeous.
This guy. Yeah, right.
Oh my.
Yeah,
That is
it's
easily my
cool.
favorite
I
art.
bet
That is
you
the
do.
playmat that I always use now. From Worlds.
That's a good one. All the anime art's pretty sick. Honestly, I like all the Marvel tree a lot, both sides, both the Pokemon side and the Japanese style art. And I'm definitely a big fan of the Fi art. Big Zuko fan from Avatar.
Yeah, that art is pretty sweet.
I like the young
Nolan
one. I think the best
asks-
actually. He's like skipping. I like his
Yeah.
energy.
Real.
Millen asks, if you could change one rule mechanic in FAB, what would it be? I want
wish
my
we-
combat chain back. I don't like this combat chain.
Yeah, I want to go back.
chains.
I don't.
I
know
want to
the
go
rules.
back. I want to go back to my chain.
The
my
rules
chain
now
links.
are perfectly reasonable.
Oh, dude, I
and
love the
simple.
rules now.
They're like they're so fine. Like
I
they're
don't like
so
that you.
intuitive.
I don't like that you can't respond to the breaking the chain.
Oh, can you not?
No, there's no link step, so you don't get a response after
I'm
you both
pretty
pass.
sure you still have to pass priority in the resolution step.
Yes, but you
Yep.
both pass in resolution, and the chain will break.
Yeah,
But-
but like
or
you're
they could
giving
just-
your
or they
opponent
could just
opportunity.
not. Break the chain because everything's happening in resolution.
Oh, sure.
so
sure.
I pass resolution. Okay, break chain, and
Yeah.
you're like, okay, like
That's a good answer.
Yeah, but I like that.
I
No, it's good.
I hate that. I
was
should
so-
be able to respond to breaking the chain. It's
But it
ridiculous
was
that
so
you can't
confusing
respond to
before,
breaking
I
the
feel,
chain.
with the whole like people didn't specify resolution versus link step. Like who actually in every single
I think
chain
this
link of
is a
an
good
attack would say
practice.
resolution, link step, go? Like, come on.
I think this is a good practical change. I think maybe competitive wise, I would rather have the link step, but I agree. I think it's good for
No,
tournament.
I'm fine with them breaking the chain, but you should respond to the chain breaking. Like if they just want to add just that in, like the resolution step works the same, everything works the same, but as soon as the chain like is going to break, then you get a response window. Like that makes sense to me. It should go in the
Yeah, it makes
stack
like the
and be
Vin set
response
cards
window.
and stuff kind of awkward.
Can you
Yeah,
guys
it's
explain
just
the new
annoying.
rules to me after the pod?
Yeah.
I want to be able to take notes. That's the change that I would make. I don't think you can't take like full notes because of pitch stacking.
Oh, I love the
but
no notes rule. I'm too
I
lazy
wish
to
we
do
I,
that, man.
I love no notes.
I wish we could see. I wish we had a little bit more access to. I wish we could take like known information notes. Like when I thought
No.
sees my opponent, I wish I could take notes. But
No.
I know some
No,
people
no,
like
no.
that. It's like a
That was
whole
terrible.
skill of memory or whatever.
I have a real change that I've been asking for this since the beginning of the game.
But you get to.
Let me organize my opponent's graveyard, please, for the love of God, or my own graveyard.
You
Just
can
let me
organize your own graveyard.
You
Well,
cannot
if it's
organize.
Not, yeah, if it's not relevant, you can't do it. But if it's
You can-
relevant, you can.
Because it saves time. Like their complaint is that it doesn't save time. Like everyone will be organizing graveyards and it'll take up time. But it's like when I am picking up in a graveyard and I'm like,
no,
I
that's
need
not the
to
reason
look.
at all. Wait, before you get into it, that's not the reason. The reason is because you need to keep it in the same order so you can like revert back game states because you can see like the order of the cards in the graveyard.
Yeah.
That's like the actual
Sure.
reason. But I agree with you. I'm just saying that's the actual reason. But go ahead.
That
please.
was not. I think that feels more like a new reason. That was not always the reason.
No, that's been the reason since card games have been like invented.
Yeah, that's like
Sure,
always. the
but that
reason
wasn't.
you're doing
That
cards.
was not the original reason.
People
we
have
were
been
told,
getting
like, back in
DQs
the
for that
day.
shit for that reason in Yu-Gi-Oh for eons.
You can in almost every card game I've played. You can rearrange your graveyard. And it's not. A
You might be able to now, but
You
for a
can
long
rearrange
time,
your graveyard, just like you can put tokens under your hero. Like it's not in the rules, but like are they really going to say anything outside of the strictest of opponents?
But all the other card games I've played, you can 100% arrange your graveyard based on the cards that are in there. So I could take all the cards and I can arrange them based on the cards that were in there.
Kind of at some point in some games there have been rules that do not let you do that. Like Yu-Gi-Oh! At certain points, I'm not sure what it is now or
You
has
just
been
always
recently.
can't because the card question exists, which like requires your graveyard to be in the
So
same
like
order.
the thing is, you are often not allowed to, but people still do stuff. Like in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like Noah was saying, there's a card that cares about the order of your opponent's graveyard, and nobody plays it, but like there is a real reason why, like according to the rules, you can't rearrange your graveyard, but nobody cares. Like people still do it.
Yeah, I think it's there's actually no cards like that in FAB where it would matter. And every time you banish for like a Levia type effect, the people always shuffle their graveyard anyway.
Yeah.
So like,
because you have to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, clearly graveyard manipulation is fine in some instances because no one says anything when a Levia player just shuffles their graveyard, right?
When it's relevant is what they said. So which I agree is just
I
again. The issue is I'm going to pick up the graveyard. I'm going to look through it for every individual card to figure out how many of these are left, and it's going to take me like 10 minutes. Like towards the end of the game, like I have to pick up the deck, and I can't just put all the venomous bites next to each other and be like, how many venomous bites are left? How many of this are left? How many of this are left?
That might not be desirable. Like if every FAB endgame includes both players taking and sorting their opponent's graveyard to see
this
what
is how the game works, though.
But that's not how the game works. That's what you do. You just do it mentally, one card at a time.
Yeah, I'm saying from their point of view, like that's there's literally no way that they want. They don't want to be on.
You can't not be allowed to take notes and also not look at your opponent's graveyard.
Yeah,
it's got to be one or the other.
That's like one of the advantages why Top Cut is untimed, so you can like spend that time when you need to make a key decision. Let me just look at their graveyard and like count all the cards.
You're already doing this. The difference is you would be doing it from the beginning. Like you would pick up their grave and you just put all of those cards together, and you just be doing it through the whole game.
I think that's another example of like that's another skill that you just have to.
The skill is doing one card at a time through the whole pile. Like, what are you talking about? Like, how many venomous bites do they have?
You have to remember. Like the skill in the game is
no, you don't.
You literally don't. It's
public
information.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, I'm saying you have to be able to absorb that information and be able to gain it all properly. Like, yes, it's also public information that both players pitch stacked all the cards that they did, but it's up to the players to like absorb that information.
How is it public information?
It's not public information.
The second
you reorder.
Sure, you're saying because it's still public.
Yeah, it's always public. It's
currently public.
Okay. I still don't think it's that. I think it's just like
there's no skill here. You pick up the thing, you go venomous bite. 2 of them. Okay. Hiss.
Well, saying there's no skill here,
and then you forget the first one.
It's like
and then you do it again, and it just wastes infinite time. Like
sure.
I'm also curious now that you bring this up, by the way, with like water grave cards, how they like go face down. They go face down in your graveyard, right? I would hope you can like at least put those in a separate pile or something. You don't have to like have rando face down cards. Like
you're allowed to separate. You're allowed to separate your graveyard into multiple piles, just only when it's relevant to the game state. Like you're allowed to separate.
Why don't we just determine it's relevant to the game state when it's like you have cards of a specific type and just broaden what that means?
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's also like the same on the Zen side. If I'm playing Zen, I have to go through my grave and go like, how many chases? Okay. How many these? How many of these left? How many? It just takes infinite time. It doesn't have to. I could just do it at the beginning as I have my graveyard and put the cards together. It takes 4 seconds. And then you just go, oh, look, okay, we're done. Like it speeds up the game.
Sure. Yeah, it just changes the game, right? It like changes the game. I'm just saying from LSS's point of view.
It's all of the same information available, just faster.
Just that, like you now have all of this time through the game that is like spent making piles instead of spent looking. I know, but
it's just for sure a consensus of like there's pros and cons to both. So they chose the one.
Yeah, but there are. I don't want to. I could argue against this a little bit more, but I agree. I think it's not that deep.
I don't know. We're just gonna continue to pick up people's graveyards 1,000 times a game and slowly go through them looking for things specifically. Nothing will change. I'll still get all the same information. I'll just get it a lot slower. That's it. That's all that changes between these two.
This next podcast question is going to have a pretty apt beginning.
Well, does anyone else have any mechanics they would change?
No, I agree with yours.
I don't even know the current mechanics, man.
Yeah, that's funny. I think they're actively getting better with this, but there could be some mechanic for limited sets about if there's a significant first-second advantage of like giving some different advantage to going first. But
Yeah, it looks like Treasure Island is that, right?
yeah, exactly. This is what I'm saying. They're getting better at it, so I don't really care that much to argue for it. But in some sets, that's been kind of annoying.
Mhm.
So
Scavazzi 4 asks, since the first tenet of the podcast is arguing, I'd love to see some pack one pick one discussions. I don't give that.
I guess
up for
that's
free.
just asking what is our pack one pick one,
Yeah.
or like what are the best pack one pick ones?
I think it's just a comment. Or why don't we do that content? It's like,
Yeah, I think they're
that's too
requesting
much
us to
information.
pull up a pack or open a pack.
We should do pack one pick one next week.
I am not doing a pack one.
why
pick
would I
one,
do that?
like,
Like
the week before
the
London.
Pros are? What do you mean?
Like,
You just
hit
him with the
him with nothing.
Actually, wait.
yeah.
To be fair, it would be perfect timing to do this after the Pro Tour, just in case like other people have like events or something. Like we could do it after a major where like we don't really care about the set anymore. I don't know like how helpful that content would be, but like
Yeah, this
we could
one's
try
a
to
little
time
weird.
it. Or maybe we do like a high.
Surely
seed
we
one
could just make
after
like
that.
real content, not just like silly 20-second pack one pick ones on the
We
pod.
got to
but-
get the YouTube shorts going. Come on. Get
I think the
It
comment
really
markers were
depends.
arguing
It
about
also depends on
how
the
we would do
format.
this.
Because like some formats, the pack one pick one is completely irrelevant. It's just like always everyone just agrees on it for the most part. And then some
Yeah.
packs, it's like we argue for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think this is an argue format.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it was
Yes.
like red tilling slam last format, but now it's like
Smoothie asks, I was looking at the overall LL points by class and realized that a Runeblade is about 19% of the total LL points earned and 9.5% of the total heroes. Do you think the card pool is stronger than most others, or if it's just been really good individual Runeblade heroes?
Both.
I think it's
both.
actually the tenets of the class are broken is normally
Yeah.
what it is. So it's a class that gets to do split damage.
Mhm.
And historically speaking, we have not actually seen that advantage like materialize into like being below average. Like there doesn't really seem to be a downside to splitting damage nowadays. Like originally they made a card like Spellblade Strike, which is like, there's no downside. It's just like one of the damage gets to be arcane. And now it's just like we have like Arc Lightning. And it's like, yeah, okay, 3 of the cards in your deck do like 6 arcane with Go Again, and nothing else does anything. And so split damage is just like really broken, right? Like you look at Aurora right now, half the decks in the game just have to like more than half actually just have to -1 equipment versus her because of arcane damage. That they've always had that strength. Like they just have always done more damage than everyone else, and it's always been split. And they're usually able to set up, which means that they're better going first and better against slow strategies. Like,
And they've always
And I
had
think
like,
they-
the fringe.
Yeah, I was
yeah,
gonna say the equipment's the
every
biggest
common
thing.
denominator for the Rune Blades is a broken thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Grasp still might be like top 3 equipment ever printed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the first
Mhm.
8 legendaries printed, right? Like it's kind of absurd.
I mean, you could just point to Grasp of the Arcanite actually as like a pretty good, just like reason. I feel like, right? Without Grasp, probably most of the Rune Blades would have been significantly worse.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's,
I mean, I
it's
just
funny
think, I
that
think
like
the heroes are good.
yeah, it's funny that like blue zaps exist, but then also grasp exists, right? You could spend like 2/3 of a card to deal 1 arcane with Go Again, or you could spend a whole card to deal 1 arcane with no Go Again, right? It's kind of like a meme.
Yeah.
And like the rune chain is often in your game plan of like discounting your cards too, or turning on other
Yeah.
effects. So it's just like the cards are just like so much better. And
Yeah, in Aurora, you can activate Grasp and do 4 damage to your opponent randomly sometimes.
Yeah. And the other thing about the rune blades is they're often allowed to play a lot of these generics. Like a lot of them have reasons to play rune blade cards themselves, but they often synergize well with generics, either being like Briar and Viscerai, where you could start your turn with like any non-attack and then play the rest of your turn, or like we see with Aurora now, where you just want to have the 0 for 4s to push your on hits through. So yeah, they've also like worked pretty well with these generics, as well as just like I'm pretty sure every Runeblade classed attack blocks 3, or at least like the majority of the ones that I've seen, which is just a nice benefit. Like typically, like class cards are 2 blocks if they're like the stronger cards.
Yeah,
I think it's funny because Runeblade is good in spite of their bad cards. Like
Mhm.
I think for the most part, their class cards are bad. The only time their class cards are good are when it's comboing with a hero that's good. Like something else has to be good to make the card. Like Mordred Tide still exists. No one is running Mordred Tide.
Well, and they
Like-
always have, yeah, like you said, they have broken cards that synergize with one hero, right? Whether it's like
Yeah.
CMH or Arc Lightning or Mordred Tide or Art of War and Chain.
Or Blood
Like
Debt.
there are always,
Yeah, but most of the cards you mentioned are not Runeblade cards.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's because they're playing attacks and non-attacks.
Yep.
And generic attacks have always been strong. So you get access to all the generic attacks and all the Runeblade attacks. And then historically, there's been a lot of good non-attacks when that mattered. But also, I mean, the easy answer is honestly just that they made broken Runeblade cards that were better than the other class cards. Like a lot of the like Face Purgatory versus like the new Mech Hat that they just got in like the Armory deck. Obviously, that's a bad example.
Sure. I don't really count their equipment as Runeblade cards. Like that's its own category called
stuff
equipment,
that they get.
right? Like yeah,
Like
their actual Runeblade cards are pretty bad.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't disagreeing with that point.
Yeah.
I was just
Its armor's amazing. It has some of the best armor in the entire game that's ever been printed for the whole game. Basically, that is like what Runeblade is known for, having just like phenomenal armor.
Yeah, it was probably the best equipment when it was like, I guess maybe Tunic's better, but like you had Grasp and then Creepers before.
Right, they had Scaletta and Carrion Husk.
Yeah, you had Grasp, Scaletta, and Creepers before like Ranger got New Horizon, right? And I guess you got Creepers in the same set that Ranger got New Horizon.
Yeah.
You already had Grasp and Scaletta. Like people were out here. Oh, I don't know. Yeah. Equipment's got to be a good reason then. Yeah, makes sense.
Equipment's always the reason.
Yeah.
Yep.
And weapons.
Okay. Big Hungry asks, what class talent combination do you want to see the most? He says he wants to see Ice Runeblade.
Does this have to be one that didn't already exist? Because my answer is Ice Wizard.
Yeah.
I want a Gogan hero who plays from Blood Debt.
Leviathan.
Well, now it's Shadow Necromancer.
Oh yeah, now the Necro's opened up, huh?
Yeah.
Just Blood Debt and
Shadow Necro.
Sunken Ship, whatever it's called. What
I want to do all the things.
What's it called?
I want an Ice
Water
Mystic
Grave.
Guardian with 70 health.
Oh, I forgot about Mystic. Oh no.
Mystic's also great.
No, I want Mystic something.
I want a
Mystic Shadow Ninja.
Oh, Evil Zen, Nez.
They unban Art of War just so you can play it in that deck.
Yep.
You can play Chi from Banish.
Great. Well, I think that wraps everything up. Let's get out of here. I'm going to go probably practice. Goodbye.
Wait, no, explain me the rules.